but looking forward to when we can actually do that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see my presentation. Okay, is everyone able to see that? Okay, so my name is Claire Peterlin. I'm the director of Itasca Area Schools Collaborative Next Career Pathways program. And I'm excited to speak to you today about career pathways. This is a pretty small group, so if anyone has any questions or comments throughout, feel free to jump in at any time. I'd like to start off the presentation by showing you an overview video that really talks about the spirit of the work that we're trying to do. So I'm going to play this. It's about 3 minutes in length.
My concern for the future of this region.
Is anyone else having difficulties with the sound?
I can't hear it either.
I think it's just when she's muted.
Do I have to keep myself unmuted for you guys?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, I will start.
Okay.
Good. Thanks for saying something, Jane. Okay, good. Okay.
My concern for the future of this region is that people might leave not knowing how much we have to offer. We're trying to change and adapt to a 21st century industry and economy, and we have a gap in our workforce that we need to fill in order to do that.
The fact that we would hear time and time again from employers in the region that we cannot find enough people for jobs that are in our area that pay a living wage.
There's been a disconnect between K-12 education and higher education and the workforce. And so we have to adapt to this time that we're in now, where the idea of going to a 4-year college and university is good for some, but not for all.
The goal of the Career Pathway Program is for our area high school students to have a chance to really explore what are the career opportunities that do exist in our region, not just taking some classes, but actually getting out there and getting a hands-on experience.
I think what's unique about our program is that we're having more close-knit conversations between our schools and our communities about really what can we do for our future generation of students.
We have career pathways in healthcare, manufacturing, construction, agricultural, natural resources. We also have it in business, computer science, and education.
Well, I think the value for a student to do a career pathway is they get to get a deeper look into that career. If they go through a pathway and they don't like it, they can always change. At least they know they don't want to. And if they do it here in high school, there's no money out of their pocket.
Maybe have a better understanding of what their opportunities are, where they could go to school, and maybe so they can actually figure out that they can make a good living with a good job where they grew up.
Students start off in the gateway classes, which helps them see all the opportunities within a career field. They then move on to the core courses, which are academic and elective, and help them build the skills for that career field. And then they move on to the capstone experience their junior and senior year, which gives them hands-on experience in that career field. Students have responded really positively to career pathways so far. They want more and more experiences. I think that they're seeing the direct connection between the classroom and their career choice.
I think what's most exciting about the Career Pathways program is that it provides students with real experiences in their community. And it shows them the potential and the possibilities that are out there.
I think that we're doing the right thing in looking at what kind of education we can offer our students and how that aligns with the greater community goals. And I think if we can continue having those conversations, we're going to see some really great opportunities for our students and our communities in our region.
Okay, so that really gives some energy behind the work of what we're doing. And I've been with this work for 4 or 5 years, but I just I really love talking to other people about it. So in a time where I don't get to talk with teachers as much, it's nice to see their faces on video talking about what this project is all about. So just to kind of give some history of where we started and to where we're at today, our program started in 2016 with a $2.5 million grant from the IRRB. It was a school collaboration grant for 3 years, and it was to start this programming in 2 pathways, healthcare and manufacturing, and to also look at how we can collaborate together between districts to just increase opportunities for students. So the first districts that were in on this project were Nashwauk-Keewatin, Greenway, Grand Rapids, and then Itasca Community College was our leading higher education partner. In 2017 and 2018 was really when we began the work on designing our program. We designed our model, which was mentioned in the video, and I'll talk a little bit about later, the Gateway Core Capstone experience for 9th through 12th grade students. And then we also started building some models and best practices for sharing programming between districts so that students are not limited to opportunities based on geography. They can take telepresence courses or online courses or travel between districts. In addition to that, we start all of our career pathways, and we're up to 7 now since 2020, but we start our career pathways by really connecting our schools with our industry and employers. So all of our career pathways, or I should say the first 2, the 5 new ones are in development, but the career pathways are meant to be led by industry advisory committees so that we know that the education, the equipment, the experiences that students are getting in high school is aligned to what they will experience and what they need to prepare for when they go into the workforce. In 2019, and shortly prior, but 2019, we really started the work of expanding career pathways across all of IASC. We figured out how we were going to do this in terms of what our program looks like and how do we share students and resources. And so it was time to look at how do we expand into the other districts of the Itasca Area Schools Collaborative. Because of the IRRB's funding geography, we weren't able to use that original funding in any of the new districts. So thankfully, the Blandin Foundation joined us as a partner and awarded us a $500,000 grant for 18 months. At the same time, because we were looking at expanding the number of pathways, we also received an extension on our original grant from IRRB for 2 years, which allowed us to add the new 5 career pathways. And then with our Blandin Foundation grant, we expanded across the school districts and then expanded those career pathways across those districts as well. So now we are in all 8 high schools of Itasca area schools. And then to present date, early 2020, we approved the approval of 5 new career pathways: construction, natural resources and agriculture, business, computer science, and education. This is all right before COVID took place. So unfortunately, I think that has had some impacts on our growth for the last year, but what we have been able to do is really build a strong culture and some energy and just some excitement. And the things that we have been able to do despite COVID have still been pretty awesome. In addition, because of our Blandin Foundation grant, we were able to really put some resources into marketing, and that has been ongoing with B Media. So I'll show you, well, you saw it on the first slide, but one of the pieces of that was our brand development, which is now IASC Next Career Pathways. We changed that name to really represent the initiative of this work and the positive forward-looking motion of the spirit of our work. So who's the next workforce, you know, what students are thinking of what's their next, business employers, who are they going to hire next, and even if we go to kindergarten classrooms, like they're our next. So it's all about looking ahead, so that really represents our program. And then lastly, a big part of this work is about messaging and positive and creating hope for our workforce in our region. And we're aware of some possible misperceptions from youth on workforce opportunities and also on current working generations on our incoming youth into workforce. So we partnered with the Montana Institute to help us address those misperceptions. A common one is all of my friends leave the area to get a good job, or you have to leave northeastern Minnesota if you want a good paying job. Well, all of us know that that couldn't be further from the truth. We have amazing work opportunities here, and we want to make sure our students are aware of that. So these are the 8 high schools that Itasca area schools serve, and then also Itasca Community College is a part of IASC. IASC covers a 3,500 square mile area and serves 7,000 students. And then, like I mentioned earlier, a big part of our work in the last year has been marketing. So you can see our new brand logo, and then these are our 7 career pathways. So really, the experience and the mission of our work is education, partnering with industry to increase opportunities for students through career building, exploration, and identity building. And we summarize that in 3 E's, and those are explore, experience, excel. So the whole goal is to give students opportunities to explore career opportunities in the region, give them coursework and internships and projects that give them the experiences that they need to build a skill set for that workforce, and then make sure that we're working together, working with our industry partners and our higher education partners so that students can really excel no matter what their next step is after high school. This is just a really simplified example of what a career pathway experience is for a student. So it's 9th through 12th grade programming. This is just an example of healthcare's, but 9th and 10th grade is really meant to be the gateway experience. So we want to introduce students to the career fields. Each of our career pathways has a gateway course identified. So for healthcare, it's healthcare careers exploration. And in that course, students learn about the different areas of healthcare and then what are some career options within those areas. And then also, what are some needed skills to go into healthcare? So that way, as they start planning the rest of their high school career, they can really be intentional about what courses they're taking and kind of have that forethought as they're heading into those courses of what kinds of things do I need to explore further or need to experience, or what kind of skills do I need if I'm going to be a nurse or if I'm going to be a chiropractor, so that we can kind of introduce it to them early, and then they can be really intentional about building that identity throughout high school. From 10th through 12th grade, students take the core courses, which are elective and academic. So we align our high school offerings to what the post-secondary experience would be for a student. So if the post-secondary program requires a composition class, then we make that recommendation in the high school, and that counts towards their graduation requirements. But then also in the elective courses, if the post-secondary experience requires medical terminology, human anatomy, we make those recommendations as well, so that it's really closely aligned and we can bridge that gap of experience between high school and post-secondary. So for healthcare, students will take medical terminology, human anatomy, biology, advanced algebra, composition 1, and more. And then in their second half of their high school experience, they get the opportunity to take the capstone courses. Capstone courses are meant to be like the upper level pathway experiences. So a student at this point knows that they're likely going to go into that career pathway after they graduate. So they can participate in internships. There's some CIS courses that will count for college credit when they move on after high school. There might be some industry-based projects where those classes in that grade level work more closely with an industry partner, those types of experiences. So for healthcare, we have nursing assistant. We have a CIS Intro to Healthcare Core Concepts where students can go to ICC once a month and do the lab simulations. And then we are working towards a healthcare career internship class. This is another video of our healthcare career pathway. So in this video, you'll see some of our teachers that teach as a part of the pathway and our industry partners as well.
The Iron Range is very blue collar, hardworking. We've got a good history of strong workforce, but we also have an aging population.
We're facing a demographics problem with the aging baby boomers and the services that they will need.
There's such a shortage of healthcare workers. We are in need of nursing assistants, LPNs, RNs.
We're not the type of people to just give up. We look at a problem and we are developing a solution for it.
The career pathway work is our solution to address some of the workforce needs in our region. We're giving students an opportunity to pause and think about their identities as future professionals, and then give them some resources and some direction to point them towards a career field that might be a good fit for them. We've decided to approach it from a collaborative standpoint. Grand Rapids High School, Greenway High School, Nashwauk High School, and ICC are working together to create career pathways. We first introduce them to an introductory course, then we show them the classes they should take, classes such as biology, human anatomy, medical terminology, and the nursing assistant registered class. All help guide a student towards their futures as healthcare professionals.
They tried to make it interesting when we did the health core care curriculum, so we'd be practicing like doing the shots and stuff like that and learning how to take blood pressures, and it was helpful.
We're gonna get kids that have a more deliberate focus starting out in their college career. They know what they want to do sooner. They're gonna have had experiences, and they're gonna be exposed to opportunities throughout the pathways that are going to make them a more valuable asset to any institution that's going to hire them.
Well, the goal to help solve this shortage is to get the students thinking young and thinking into the career pathway of healthcare by exposing them to the exploratory courses in the 9th and 10th grade year. Hopefully that'll give them some incentive to go forward.
Our students are learning valuable skills that they can then take into their careers, into our businesses and industries within our region. We know that we're better preparing our students for their future.
Shoot. 1 second. There we go. So just to touch on why we do this collaboratively, this is just a really rough map of the Itasca Area Schools Collaborative. It shows all of our districts and some of our higher education partners. The little circles represent where we have pathway courses being taught on site at our high schools. So we have teachers teaching courses as a part of that pathway, but a lot of our schools aren't able to offer the entire pathway experience by themselves. So when you look at what we're able to do by sharing together, the lines represent where we have students receiving courses from districts other than their own. And this is just new as of last year. It needs to be updated with our current offerings because we've expanded. I think when this was drawn, we had like a dozen different shared programming offerings, and we're up to 22 different shared programming offerings where we have students receiving coursework across all of IASC. So this is just an example of some of our shared programming classes broken down by each of the career pathways. So all of these courses go into our students' registration guides, and then they work with their counselors and their teachers at their schools to figure out what courses they need to take as they head into the next school year. So a big part of this is our engagement between our schools and our business partners. This has probably been one of the hardest things to do as a part of our program this year. Just engaging collaboratively is difficult to do right now because we're all remote. Normally our teacher teams meet with our higher education partners and meet with one another on a monthly basis. And then our industry advisory teams meet quarterly, but our teachers are really focused on doing their jobs in their districts right now. So we've kind of slowed that down and we're doing what we can. But we do have a lot of really good things still happening, still having some guest speakers, still having those course offerings happen, activities in the classroom. But in a typical year, what we like to see is students going into businesses and businesses coming into schools so that students can hear from local area professionals and what the career pathway is actually like. And that's done in a variety of ways, from industry tours to business professionals coming into the classroom as guest speakers or mentoring students. We have a lot of businesses that have hosted student interns. Last year, we had our first cohort of manufacturing student interns where we had 15 students out in 9 different businesses between Hibbing and Cohasset on paid internships. And 9 of those businesses have hired 4 of our students to stay on full-time after graduation. So they kept our students, which is just awesome. And then we're looking to grow opportunities where students can job shadow in businesses. So students can be excused for a day, just like they would if they were going to go visit a college. But they can go in and they can work with our partners just to see what the career field is like. And then also, lastly, partnering with teachers. So the best way, or I guess one opportunity where there's a huge return on investment is whenever we can pair an industry partner with a teacher, because then that teacher learns what the industry skills are, and then they can go and share it with all of their students and reach hundreds. So we do that through teacher externships. We've had a number of teachers who have worked 200 hours plus out in businesses over the summer on paid internships. 2 of our manufacturing teachers have done that 3 summers in a row now, and they're proficient at CNC machining. And then that just pays in leaps and bounds for our students, because then our students can be proficient in that skill too, where they didn't have that skill before. Also, we have some business partners who come in and co-teach classes. So they show up on their own time, you know, a couple times a week, and they work right with the students on the problems that they're solving. And that's about it that I have to share today. I invite you to contact us if you want to talk more about career pathways, if there's any ideas that you have about partnering, or just want to learn more. My contact information is listed here. Also very excited because our website is now live, www.nextpathways.org. It's still a work in progress. There's some things that we need to fully finish, but it is live. And then along with that, so is our social media. So please give us a like and a follow. And then my only ask of you is that go out and tell people about us, that we do exist, and we are trying to do some really awesome things for kids. So with that, does anyone have any questions before I turn it over to Nick and Lee?
Of course I do. I love this program, Claire. I'm excited. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm excited about some of the opportunities. So we've had a lot of dialogue lately, and I know you've gotten this question because I've heard you get this question a few times about hospitality and engaging hospitality and what that might look like. So IEDC is preparing to submit a Launch Minnesota grant, which will allow us to really explore innovation around entrepreneurs and growing that community. And one of the areas I have a lot of interest in is test kitchens and looking at the opportunity for a cooperative kitchen and what that could look like for businesses in our community that need it, but also for an additional career pathway. And so I just wonder if you guys have explored the options for hospitality, thought about test kitchens, and if you have any interest in that as we kind of forge our way forward in that area.
Yeah, first, please keep us in the loop on that discussion, because I think there are some good connecting points. I know that Deer River High School, I think when they were exploring some facility studies, they had talked about possibly putting in a culinary unit. I'm not sure where they're at on that with everything that's been going on in the changeover in administration, but that had been a point of discussion. Within the high school setting, a hospitality experience or curriculum would fit within like our business education teachers and what they teach in career pathways. And I know that they highlight that as a career option within some of the classes. And then 2 of our, I'm not sure if Pat Kiddock is on from Greenway too. I don't know if she went to this training, but I know that Jim Sherping and Missy Bildu attended a training over the summer on implementing hospitality curriculum as a part of that pathway. And then Pat Kiddock is really interested in getting some partnerships with the hospitality industry. She's reached out to Timberlake, and we're interested in growing some more opportunities for students to get exposed to that field. Beyond that, one of the kind of disappointing parts of COVID this year is that in the kickoff of these 5 new pathways, the first step we would have taken would have been hosting a large industry summit. And so we would have done that for business, and that would have been a great opportunity to invite in some of our hospitality partners and some of the people that are showing up to your table to discuss that idea. So as we look to the future and hopefully hosting that soon, I think that that should be a part of the conversation for sure.
Well, Claire, I'd love for you to include me in any conversations. I think you know I have a lot of experience and background in working in hospitality under large events and hotels and restaurants and the whole gamut. And it is great to have partners in industry, but it is an area that is difficult to really introduce a full program when you're an operating business and you're looking at, you know, a year like this would have been great because they didn't have a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of guests in their facilities. But on a normal year, it's really difficult. And that's why when you're building out a program and you can have the opportunity to partner with local economic developers and look at a test kitchen where you have a location that's dedicated to, you know, running through elements with students. And the beauty of a test kitchen really does give back to your community because you have that option as a chef, let's say of the Timberlake, to run through a menu, cost it out, and not disrupt your own kitchen. And then you can also look at the component of these small business entrepreneurs that are just starting to get up and running that want to run, you know, maybe they want to do some baking samples out of the kitchen or they want to run through their own recipes. And then that third piece is working in partnership with the schools to give the students a chance to get educated and learn how to use these facilities. So I think it would be an amazing investment. I don't think Minnesota has, as you look through the other curriculums out there, really developed a hospitality program that has its own legs, if you will, and not is based in other locations. So I'd love to be a part of that as you guys explore it further. Lots of knowledge there. And I think there's another local partner in the co-house that they're looking at doing a commercial kitchen there as well. The big challenge is when you want to do a test kitchen and use it for hospitality training, kind of has to be kind of big. And that would be something that we'll face here locally, is trying to find the space capacity to allow for true training. Right. But anyway, I could talk about that all day, but thank you.
Yeah.
Great info.
Thanks, Kayla. I'll turn it over now.
Okay, you know, I think maybe I'll start off for Itasca Community College. And once again, my name is Lee Kessler. I'm the Natural Resource Department Chair. You know, and I guess starting it off, I guess I just kind of wanted to share some different perspectives from our internship programs at ICC. You know, first of all, you know, we have a lot of different programs have internship opportunities, whether we call them internships opportunities or not. There's just a lot of opportunities for our students to go out into the industry and work prior to leaving here. And that's something we want to continue to work on, continue to develop. But I thought I would just start off with some perspectives from some different folks, including myself here. So I got a story to tell you first. I wanted to tell you. So a natural resource student, instead of going on a typical spring break, going to Florida and having all the good times, right? Decided they wanted to go on an internship over spring break. So this student went on a spring internship, worked 40 hours at a forestry company. And thought, you know, everything went well. And this was a junior year, probably of a four-year school. For whatever reason, later that year, you know, one of the foresters in the company left, moved on to a different company, and the business owner happened to call, you know, this person and said, hey, you know, we have an opening here. We'd like you to come and fill that position, right? And of course, not done with school, the student said, well, you know, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing now. And the owner said, hey, how about I hold that job for you till May? Of course, the student was overjoyed, saying, yes, that's great, right? So anyway, that student, you know, went to work there and worked there basically 4 years, right? And then, you know, at that point, it was time to move to a different state with a family, you know. So the person picked up, moved to a different state, still continued to do forestry work in the same manner. Now that person had, you know, a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge on how the systems worked, and was able to basically have his own company for 10 plus years. And so, of course, that led to other opportunities, including a job which ended up being at the statewide fire center here in Grand Rapids. And then, of course, that person, through all the experience and education, ended up working at ICC as a department chair here. And of course, I'm talking about myself. And this is a 30-year perspective. So, you know, we can talk about this perspective for a young student, but when you look back over 30 years and what that internship meant, you know, you can say that you know, that 1 week at an internship basically set me up for where I am right now. Because I'm not sure I'm not sure if I didn't have that one weekend, I'm not sure that I would have took the same path, not good or bad. I'm just saying I wouldn't take the same path. And I'm pretty happy to where I'm at. So I look back and I say, hey, that 1 week was enough to put me kind of right where I want to be right now. And I think probably most of the people on the call here can probably look back to that one time you had that one opportunity or that one person that was able to make a difference early on in your career, and say, hey, that's what we want to give folks for, internship or for some sort of opportunity to get into the field. So I just want to give that perspective over 30 years and what that has brought me. That being said, I do have a former student and now a peer that has agreed to come on to say about his story here. So I'm going to turn this over to Chase.
Hey everybody, can you hear me pretty good? My name is Chase Bender. I'm a forestry technician at Northome DNR Forestry. I actually grew up right here in Northome on the east side of Island Lake in northern Itasca County. I graduated high school in 2010 and I enrolled in ICC for natural resources in 2015. The summer after my first year at ICC, I interned with the DNR Parks and Trails out of Grand Rapids. It was a river crew job where we would take care of remote campsites along rivers and lakes, and we would take care of boat accesses as well. I enjoyed the internship so much that the summer of my second year, I internshipped with Parks and Trails again. As I was wrapping up my time at ICC, I had seen that there was a seasonal job posting for a river crew buildings and grounds that opened up in the same location. I applied using the resume that I built at ICC, and I was able to do well in the interview because I had experience doing that work already through my internships, and I ended up getting the job. The buildings and grounds job was a 5-month position during the spring and summer each year. I found additional work with the Forest Service cruising timber during the winter months, and that also gave me a lot of field experience. I kept my eye on job postings, and in the summer of 2019, I saw a job opening in Northome for a forestry technician. I applied and I interviewed and I was offered the job, and now I'm back here. This wouldn't have been possible without the skills that I learned at ICC, and it wouldn't have been possible without the experiences I had as an intern with the state. So having those internships really helped me build my skill and network with the people within the DNR. Someone like me from Northome could go to ICC, do some internships, get some on-the-job experience, and start working at that agency. There's good jobs out there to look forward to, and there's a great way to start was with those internships. I really learned a lot from them.
Wow, thank you. That was really, really good testimonial. Does anybody have any questions for either Chase or Lee at all?
Chase, how hard was it for you to find the internships? Was that something that you got through your high school experience, or was there, did you really have to figure it out for yourself, or did you feel like you had a lot of guidance getting into those programs?
We used Minnesota Careers was a good one, and we had I was also looking at the USA Jobs website as well, and there was some internships listed on there. Sometimes we had heads up from the instructors. Actually, my Parks and Trails one, I had a heads up from my instructor for my careers class, so that was neat, and ended up applying for that one. I didn't know I wanted to go into Parks and Trails, but I ended up really liking it. I really like forestry and I really like recreation, and I think those two merge together very well anyway, so I was happy with that one. I really was.
Have you been involved with our Future Forest Stewards event? I can't remember if you've been there or not. Has he been there, Lee?
That's a logging expo. That's probably been 6 years ago for Chase. So I don't know if Chase came out that year we went there or not. That's been too long ago.
Well, Chase, I'm going to get your contact information and make sure you're on our list, because I think that's a story that we like the younger kids to hear about, is the opportunities that stay here local, work in these fields, and really see what you can do. So I'll make sure and get your number from Lee.
Oh, yeah, yep. And it's really good to be back in Northome. Thank you.
Awesome. So if nobody else has any questions, Nick, I will pass it to you.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing your stories, Lee and Chase. It's really great to hear them and kind of give us a little motivation to put in the time and effort that we all do in creating these internships for other students. So for those of you that have not met me yet, my name is Nick Rostin, and I teach business and economics at ICC. In addition to that, I help oversee our internship program. So in this role, I really try to help connect students and employers interested in pursuing internships. During the process, I try to help students and employers with that onboarding process to make it as seamlessly as possible, and really kind of serve as a facilitator during the extent of the internship to make sure it goes as smoothly for students and employers as possible. So when I approach organizations about possibly having an intern, two common questions are, what are my responsibilities as an employer, and what impact can the intern have on my organization? So I've got a brief slide here. I'll share my screen. So to help answer those questions, I put together just a brief flyer and want to talk through a few of the main points here. So we ask employers prior to hiring that they create a position details. Basically, what are the desired skills they'd like an intern to have, 2 or 3 primary responsibilities, number of hours worked, as well as possible wages. And to help facilitate this, I do have a template that I offer to employers as well. So during that employment process, ICC will handle all payroll, then we'll administer payment to student workers then. So prior to payment, we do ask that employers verify the hours that students submit. And post-employment, we have them complete a post-performance evaluation of the student, as well as their thoughts on having future internships. Also, they'll have to pay their portion of the employer's wages then. So really, we try to make this as easy as possible for that onboarding process to help facilitate more internships. But besides those work aspects of it, we do feel that there's a great amount of benefits of having internships for the organization itself. So first one is that ICC can match funding up to 135 hours. So that means if that student worker was getting paid $10 an hour, that employer would only be responsible for $5 of those hourly wages then, and ICC can contribute the rest up to 135 hours. The second benefit is that it helps increase visibility to help find future employees. So an internship program is a year-round recruiting tool. Implementing an internship program can create a pipeline of future full-time employees. So having this in place can help reduce the drain on company resources devoted to recruiting and hiring new positions. Also, it can help evaluate an intern's potential as a full-time employee prior to hiring. So the U.S. Department of Labor estimates the price of a bad hire at around 30% of that employee's first-year salary. But it's a human resource reality that sometimes new employees make a great impression during the interview, but simply aren't a good fit for one reason or another. Because of this, hiring someone as an intern can be an effective way to evaluate his or her potential as a full-time employee. Also, it can help increase productivity at that organization. So with interns on board, employees might have a lighter workload and can devote more time to creative or more advanced projects. Additionally, interns often bring enthusiasm, motivation, and positive energy. So this work ethic can positively rub off on others in that organization as well and help improve your company culture. Also, we feel that it helps enhance the diversity of perspectives. Interns bring a lot more to the table than just an extra set of hands. Especially in today's digital age, new people bring novel perspectives that can break up the status quo, as well as specialized strengths and skills to contribute to the organization. 6, we feel that it can help improve or help the organization give back to the community. Hiring interns not only helps students in the community get started, it enhances the local workforce. This can also serve as a cost-effective public relations tool to help build on your organization's standing in the community. And I don't need to tell you guys this, that college students are typically pretty social media savvy. So a recent survey found by Pew that of students ages 18 to 24, around 75% of them use Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or other methods of social media. So not only that, they're informed about current events and popular culture and social media trends. So if social media is part of your business, interns can help enhance your current strategy to build your following in a cost-effective manner. Finally, we feel that it can help foster leadership in current employees. As they gain interns, as they supervise interns, they can learn leadership skills. This can be a great training for an employee who aspires to gain management position. Also, supervising interns is oftentimes less stressful than supervising other current employees. So on a personal note, I'm involved with the organization Running the Rapids. So we do that half marathon in town, perhaps you guys have heard of it. And we've had an intern every year. And having an intern has been extremely beneficial for our race. So we had an intern handle our social media account. They really brought a lot of enthusiasm to our group. and have really brought a new and novel perspective towards things. So a recent example of an intern project that they did last summer was we partnered with Itasca Life Options, which is an organization devoted towards providing work opportunities for adults with disabilities. So we had a person at Itasca Life Options create a little card that we gave to each runner that they hand painted that, and then we kind of wrote a little inspirational message on the back for each person that participated in the race. So I'm proud to say that every intern that we've had at Running the Rapids has chose to stay on as a volunteer and planning member. So I think it's been a wonderful experience, not just for the race, but for the student as well. And I did have a student that was hoping to make it. It's actually Seth Anderson, who did an internship with IEDC, but he is currently at boot camp right now. And Uncle Sam gave him more of an order than a suggestion. So he's not able to join us, but he did leave me with a few remarks that I was hoping to share with you guys. So when I asked Seth why he was interested in pursuing an internship, he said it was because he knew he liked business and wanted to learn more about how they're run. Also, he said he has a passion for helping this community and wanted to establish a relationship with local organizations so that once he completes a service, he can return to Grand Rapids and apply his education experience to help the Grand Rapids area. So while in high school and doing post-secondary classes at ICC, Seth completed 2 internships, one of which was with IEDC and the second was with Glarvigan Accounting. So at IEDC, he helped run their Facebook page, worked on projects in collaboration with other team members, and every day he said he was given more interesting tasks and was always seeking to learn more from them. He said he worked closest with Terry, who was a joy to work with and learn from. Thank you, Terry. Also, Tony took his under his wing and was able to apply the knowledge he gained in accounting at ICC to actual business practices. The experience he gained at IEDC helped increase his passion for accounting. So after completing his internship with IEDC, he pursued an internship with Glarvigan Accounting. So he started his internship during accounting season, or excuse me, during tax season. So there was a lot of work for him to do, including tax prep, payroll accounting, reconcile bank statements through the use of QuickBooks and other accounting software. But under these demanding conditions, he really thrived and felt a passion for accounting. So he felt that these internships were a tremendous benefit in developing his business and accounting skills, professionalism, and help create a career path for himself. So Seth is currently in basic training in the Marine Corps and will be serving as a supply chain administrator and operations specialist. He will specialize in accounting, processing orders, and maintaining inventory levels for his division in the Marine Corps. So he's grateful for his education as internships afforded him and helped create him or prepare him for this role he's currently in.
Great. Well, I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Caitlin.
Yeah, I'll do my best to answer on behalf of Seth or anything about our co-op ed program. So.
Perfect. So Nick, I know you and I talked a little bit about this beforehand. I've had a lot of interns over the years, and each intern program has been different, right? Some have required very little reporting. Some have required like a full plan that you have to document and sign off with each department head. And so tell us what the requirements are from your side. I mean, is it a full length report? Is it one-page recap? What does it look like for the business owner and also for the intern? And is the intern going to do that while they're working at the business, or is it something they do on their own time?
So we do have an onboarding packet, but we try to place as much responsibility on the student worker for themselves. 1, to handle that responsibility, and 2, so they take ownership of that, as opposed to having the business kind of set those terms. So what we ask for the business is to kind of compile a list of primary responsibilities that they'd be doing. And that's kind of 2 to 3 responsibilities. The reason we ask for employers to do that is we want to make sure that these internships have academic merit to them, that someone isn't kind of out running, getting coffee, making staples or things like that. So typically with the way we quantify that academic merit is if they would be doing tasks that they'd be learning or at a comparable, or at ICC or a comparable institution then. So we say that most of the work will be done by the intern rather than the business organization itself. So at the end, we do ask for a performance evaluation from that intern that kind of summarizes their performance, what tasks they worked on, as well as their likelihood of taking on an intern in the future.
And so as the other question I have is about intern program. So, and maybe Claire can answer this as well. In economic development, we have an organization called EDAM, and EDAM has an intern program where we can apply for a grant and get a grant every year. And it's not going to cover the full cost of the intern, but it's certainly just another help to encourage us to hire interns. Do you guys know of other industry organizations like maybe AMFA or other things like that that also offer such types of intern grants to encourage businesses to hire interns?
You know, I'm not aware of external ones. We do have a grant through the Blandin Foundation that helps create these opportunities for students. And that's the one we've primarily relied on thus far.
Yeah, same here. I'm not aware of a lot of external, or I should say any at this point, external organizations that provide funding for interns. There is the Pipeline program that provides funding for businesses who decide to hire an employee and want some extra funding to like train them. So as we've been thinking about career pathways and interns, and especially with like the experience of the 4 students that got hired by their manufacturing employers, that's a resource that I would like to tap into, but it wouldn't be directly used to subsidize their wages. It would be like if they hired our manufacturing interns and they want to send them through customized training or to Masabi Range to get a welding diploma or something like that. And then I wanted to update you, Tamara, too, because we are applying for the Youth Skills Training Grant this round.
Yay!
And in the past, I think that you were able to use that to subsidize intern wages, but they aren't allowing that anymore. Yeah, so we're going to take that a different direction, but we're still using it for the intent of building out our Career Pathways program. And really, when we're talking to our business partners in our context, it's about giving them that firsthand opportunity to develop their future workforce. And so far, our partners have understood that there's a give and take and it's mutually beneficial.
Right. I just feel like, so honestly, I feel like this is a short little research project that we could take on, not today, because Kayla's going to kill me if I say today, but maybe sometime in the first quarter of next year to really look at industry, because these organizations are very obvious, right? The utility organizations have them, AMFA organization, manufacturing, forestry, all those different organizations that are out there. It could be a good avenue for us to do some research and see what things are available, because I think that would certainly be another tool in the toolkit to encourage companies to take on interns. And I think on the flip side of that, it would be an opportunity for us to pressure those organizations into creating internship grant programs for their industries. Because I do think just, you know, for us, the EDAM grant is $1,000 matching grant. I think it might've been 2 actually, but so it's not covering the full length of a intern at all, but it gives you another incentive to really bring that intern on. And I'd love to see more industry organizations take on that grant program to encourage interns. I think it's a really great way to just spur that, kind of tip the scales in favor of bringing an intern on.
Yeah, as you were talking, I had 2 that came to mind, actually. The Minnesota, I want to say it's Minnesota Department of Nursing, or it's, I have to look it up to make sure what it is, but they do provide wages for healthcare facilities to hire interns, and there's a number of our healthcare businesses that have used that in the past, but I feel like some healthcare facilities, their staff might not be aware of it, so maybe that extra awareness would help them. Right. And then the other one is actually our manufacturing intern program used it, and it was a Harbor Freight Fellowship program. Oh. And so for every student that we had, they had to apply to be a part of the fellowship program, but after they completed 120 hours, Harbor Freight gave them a $1,000 check directly. And then they also paid $500 to the employer's employee that was supervising the student, and then $500 to our teacher for that student.
Wow, that's also an awesome program.
And a $250 PPE stipend. So they were also grant funded externally. It was a national organization, but those things do exist. And yeah, I think if someone could come up with a database, that would be awesome.
Right. I mean, I just think about, again, back to logging and forest industries. Those are some tough things to convince people to go into. So if there were incentives like, well, we'll buy your work boots and we'll buy, I mean, it's not cheap to outfit yourself if you don't already have the gear to work in the woods. it's not a cheap thing to outfit yourself in that type of gear. So we've done, we've seen different organizations at Apex sponsor students. So they've sponsored, like, I want to say it was the Bolt Company or something. I might be getting this wrong, but there was a whole crew of students that were working on a house in Duluth. And while they were working there, it was wintertime. And so one of the Apex members sponsored all the gear, outdoor gear, so they could work in the cold weather. So I do feel like this is a good opportunity to figure out what's out there. But again, to also encourage some of these organizations that are larger, you know, the Enbridges of the world and Minnesota Powers, to create these programs locally so we can encourage more people to stay local and get into those programs. And it doesn't have to be just a pay the employer. It could be, like you said, outfitting the employee would be a really good benefit for them as well.
I'm just so glad that we're talking about stipending interns or providing some sort of pay, because that makes it more accessible to all students. And so that really opens up opportunities. So it's not students that can afford an unpaid internship, but rather students get this opportunity no matter what their economic background is. Because having an unpaid internship is not fair. It is something that is a luxury and not everyone can afford that. So it's great that we're having conversations about stipending interns or paying interns.
And the irony is I've had interns from from Cornell University, when I was working at the Olympics, I had interns who were so entitled that they literally stood around and supervised the entire time, versus the students that were from much lesser means who were in there just working with. So it really was a difference in the type of intern that you get. There's a sense of value for that job, and they're really putting themselves into it. I totally agree. I think paid internships are really important, especially if, you know, we take workforce so seriously in our region. We know it's an issue. We want people to stay here and work here, but they're not going to unless we start to build some incentives around that happening.
I agree. Yeah, well, thank you. This was super, super informative, and I'm extremely grateful for all four of you to come on and share the importance of your internships individually. Does anybody else have any questions for any of the speakers at all?
I just want to say thank you guys for coming on. I'm looking forward to Future Forest Stewards next year. We are definitely going to do that again, Lee, and we're appreciative of the college being a great partner for that. And you know, this is a good way, Claire, for us to get involved and try to help you guys with research and things. Don't forget we're here, and we certainly want to do programming with entrepreneurship. And as a part of Launch Minnesota, we hope that we can work with you guys on that.
Awesome. So if nobody else has any more questions, we will end it. And I will be sharing this recording on our social media. So if anybody has anybody at all who's interested in an internship, either through ACC or through Career Pathways, I would encourage you to lead them either to our Facebook page or our YouTube page to find this presentation. So thank you, everyone.